Hi there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada. And this week, my product of the week is a little lace. And it comes with not just a little frustration, but a lot. This is probably the fourth time I'm trying to record this video. My phone has been running out of storage, but of course it doesn't say anything. It just stops recording. So this is the card that we are going to make. Now, because I have done this about 4 times, I am so over using my gold foil for this card, because if you know me at all, you know that I don't like making repeats of a card. So we're going to switch it up just a little bit, because I got this far yesterday to find out it had stopped recording, and at that point my frustration level was through the roof. So I may pick up and I'll show you how to get to this point, and then we'll go from here. But yeah. Oh, the joys. So my product of the week, each week on Monday, I tell you what the product of the week is, and if you order it with me between that Monday and end of day the following Sunday, which in this case is, let's go to our trusty little calendar. If you order it between Monday, August 12th and Sunday, August 18th by end of day, you will get a special little something from me. And because we are using the gold foil sheets and heat embossing, this time it is going to be a half a pack of the metallic foil sheets in your choice of color and an embossing powder in your choice of color. So you will get 2 sheets of foil cut to 6 by 6, because it cost me a fortune to ship it otherwise, and your choice of powder. So all you have to do is email me with your order, or you can place your order online, but in that case just email me your selections and I will get those off to you. So without further ado, and before my phone decides to be a pest and stop recording yet again, let's get our craft on. So we are going to be using the die. I don't know if it's the humidity or what, but none of my magnets are sticking on the inside of my cases. But we are going to be using the dies. We're going to be using the birch background stamp and Country Home. So what we need is a very vanilla A2 size top folding card base. So that is 11 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches, 11 inches long, 4 1/4 inches wide, and it's scored at 5 1/2. And we don't need this right away, so we'll just set it aside. What we do need right away is the birch background stamp. My apologies for the glare. It's not quite bright enough outside to have no lights on in here, and I don't want you not being able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got a very vanilla card mat. So this is 4 by 5 1/2. I want it to go the full length of the card. Now, you may notice this one goes the full width. We're not going to do that. We're going to just have it 4 inches wide. Close enough. Now, I am not mounting my stamp on my Stamparatus or a block. I'm just going to ink it up in here. And I am going to stamp off. So I have a piece of grid paper that I've previously used. So I'm just going to stamp off, per se, on there. And then we'll place our cardstock down without moving it. And then you can fold this over so you don't get ink all over your hands. And then we're just going to gently rub there. You want to be holding it in one spot so that it doesn't move. And then there we go. It's very subtle, but that was the look I wanted. And you can just clean it off with your chamois. So we're done with that stamp. Now we need a scrap of very vanilla to do our stamping and heat embossing. So I just have some offcuts from cutting previous projects. We can set that aside And using our Versamark with the embossing buddy, we're going to create our little bouquet. And I know it's probably still the middle of summer where you are, but it's never too early to start working on fall and winter projects. As a crafter, I feel like we're like retail. We're always working ahead, right? So you go to the stores and you see all of the Halloween and Christmas displays out, and most people would be outraged, but not us, right? Because we need to get a head start. Okay, so I'm stamping my picture fairly close to the bottom, not right at the edge. Get out our embossing powder. Now you want to move fairly quick on this because you don't want your Versamark to dry. Now taking a step back, you're going to try to align this so that you're not going over the edge of your picture, but also not leaving too much of a gap. It's just that gray area, right? All guesswork. Now you could put your powder on the picture so that you know exactly where it's going, but I like to do it all at one time. And while I heat up my heat tool, I will stamp my sentiment on here so that I ensure that I leave myself the space to do so. Now you don't want to overdo it because you can melt it to the point where it's no longer raised and pretty. Okay, so now we're ready to do some die cutting. We'll let that sit and cool down for a few moments. And like I said, I've done this on the gold foil so many times that we're going to do it on Sahara sand this time because I only have so many sheets of gold foil. So what I like to do is just line it up there. This is a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So line it up, and then haven't been showing this part in the video, but I guess we might as well. So what I like to do is put it on a slight angle. Now this is a full 6 inches wide, so you can't, well, you could turn it sideways, but I like to do it on an angle. And then because my plate is a little bit bowed, you'll see how I get around that. So now what I do is I take my Take Your Pick die brush, and going over my garbage can, I will go back and forth and across, and I will turn it over and get those gone. Now I'm going to do the rest over my garbage can because I don't want to have all these little bits on my desk because they have a way of sticking around and then messing things up on you. So another tip is if you have any bits that are hanging on, just use a lint roller and they should come out. So now we can pop this off. And this die changes the texture of the paper. It is just so beautiful. So I've got a spot there that didn't work out so well, but I'm not concerned about it in this instance. If I was, I could just pop those out manually, but not all that concerned. So the next step is we're going to take this finishing die and we're going to line it up like so. So you can see that it goes along these circles and then fits in that notch. This a nice finished edge there, and now we want to do the same thing on the side. Now we're going to be taking it quite a bit further up because I can't get just that spot. Well, maybe I could, but we're going to go up here. The key is to always be lining it up to these little circles and then the notches. So to adhere this, because it's so finicky and intricate, what I do is I take my silicone craft mat with some Tombow. I would take more than that, but this is just a demonstration. I've got a dedicated sponge dauber for Tombow, so all you have to do is just sponge this on. Now you don't want to move your paper too much because the glue is going to go through, if you're using a lot, to the front side. But all you're going to do is adhere it to that whole spot, the whole piece, and then you're going to put it on your cardstock and then just wipe that off with a baby wipe. So now we will get to this piece where I have already done that. Just have a little bit of glue that came out there. So if you don't have one of these, I get mine at the Dollar Tree. It's an adhesive eraser. It's basically like the sole of a shoe. Okay, so we now have our two pictures. You can see I missed a little spot there. So luckily I have a backup. This video, I swear to goodness, is just not meant to come to life. With all of the issues I've had with it. Now the next step is to use the second smallest of the nested stitch dies, and you're just going to align it. You are going to lose a smidge of that little spray there, but it's not the end of it. So now we are ready to color that, but I'm going to do one step first before I forget, because I have a tendency to forget this part. We need Sahara Sand ink, and we also need the denim ribbon, and this is from the Dino Roar suite, but we're doing kind of a country shabby chic look, and this works perfectly. Now if you're not good at guesswork, just take this and leave about an inch on either side, and then we're going to do about a 2-inch strip. That may not be exactly 2 inches. If you haven't given this denim ribbon any consideration, it is like the finest denim. It's not bulky and thick. It's a nice trim denim. Okay, so we're going to take some washi tape. Dog has stolen the chair, so it looks like I'm standing, which may not be a bad thing because then I can see if my phone stops recording again. Okay, so you're just gonna, whoops, not do that. You don't want to twist in there. Okay, and then we're going to just thread that through. It could have been a little bit longer. And then just tie. You're not even tying it as a knot, it's just a little bow. And then you can trim some of this off. There we go. And now we can get to coloring. So I used Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, light and dark for both. I used the light Mint Macaron, probably used dark, but that's okay. And I used the dark Night of Navy. So, oh, and Soft Suede, light and dark. Okay, oh, and light crumb cake. And for this part, you want to be kind of careful because it can mess up the embossing that we did. So we're just going to go kind of around that. And then we're just going to give the illusion of like a countertop. My crumb cake is starting to run out. I have an extra one, but I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to start with these cattails, so just use the dark soft suede in the spots that have the little dots. So there's really nothing special to this coloring. I just kind of follow the outlines. If you want to blend those areas, just go over them again with the light. And you can change the colors of the leaves. There ends up being a lot of green in here. So now with this artichoke type thing, I have used Blackberry Bliss for this before so that it adds a bit more color. But because this is old olive, it is lighter than the Mossy Meadow. But you can see it takes a little bit of the finish off of the gold. And then because we're using the denim ribbon, I'm going to put this little bit of Night of Navy for these berries. And my bullet tip end on my Night of Navy is, it is pushed in and it makes it very difficult to use, but it's always worked, so I thought there's no harm in keeping it as is. Now the final step on this is to do some Wink of Stella. And then for that little bit of the artichoke that kind of wore off, I'm just going over it with a gold gel pen. To avoid all of this, you could use watercolor pencils. And one more step before we adhere this all together. So take another sponge dauber with Sahara sand, and we're just gonna age this a little bit. Otherwise, it's a lot of very vanilla tone on tone. And I kind of have it, I don't know what the actual angle would be. I want to say it's like 45 degrees, just so that I get some on the sides and the top. You can see my cardstock was just a little bit short to get the point in there, but oh well. So I'm holding it, I guesstimate that it's 45 degrees. I don't want too much or too little. Another one of those gray areas where it's a fine line. Now, I did smear my gold a little bit. That was dumb. So if you have a sand eraser, that should take that off. And if not, if you end up with some kind of smudge that you can't hide, I find that using the Champagne Mist Shimmer Spray is a great camouflage. close up your ink. You don't want that in there. And then just give it a spritz. There we go. Now the last step is to mount this. So we're going to use some dimensionals, one at either end, and we want to go on either side of where the ribbon is going to be. And then I like to do a mini on either end. Now, I came across this so cool trick to take dimensional backings off. No fiddling with the paper, and they all end up in one neat pile. I'm never pulling dimensional backings off by hand again. Beautiful. I'd say it's well worth the frustration, but really this video, I don't know what happened. It was a nightmare. So I really hope you enjoy this video. It has been a labor of love and patience and But I'm thinking now I'll probably end up making a gift set out of these because I've made so many. Now my other thought is, if you leave a comment on this video, I will send you one of these cards. So 2 random commenters will get a copy of this card. A stamped AF original, if you will. So that is all, my crafty friends. If you have stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. And if you have not hit that big subscribe button below, I would encourage you to do so. I release 2 new videos each week. Monday will be the product of the week, and Friday will be, until Christmas, we'll be creating for Christmas videos. So last week I kind of threw it off because I started my creating for Christmas videos on Monday and then didn't get to a video on Friday. So my apologies. But going forward, Mondays will be the product of the week, Fridays will be creating for Christmas. So that is all. Sorry, I lied. The extra promotion is still going on until August 31st. So if you have $200 in product that you would like to order, now is the perfect time. You can choose $205 in product for only $135. That is open to all residents of Canada. So that is all. That I promise. This time, that's all. So I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye, my crafty friends.